Opening day is here. Let's get ready for the first Yankees game of the year. Here's everything you need to know.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Stacey Gotsoulias. Thank you for making us your first listen. It's opening day. We're very excited. My producer, Steve, is here with me. Steve, tell everyone what we got today.
Oh, well, there was a bit of news on opening day eve. Franchy Cordero, the signing. We'll talk about that a little bit later, what that means. But I wanted to start with just what do you got to know about today? Opening day. Clean slate, everything to go. I figure we start with pitching matchups and who's hot, who's cold, all that good stuff, and just a little bit of fun tidbits about opening day. So let's start with that pitching matchup, Stace.
So we have Gerrit Cole versus Logan Webb, because as you all know, the Yankees are facing the Giants, and this is unusual because the Yankees don't usually open up against National League teams. And, coming into this offseason, it could have been a totally different Yankees-Giants series if Arson Judge had ended up with the Giants, but he did not. Logan Webb is making his second consecutive opening day start for the Giants, and he had a pretty good 2022. He pitched in a career-high 192 innings, or 192 and one-third innings, with a 2.90 ERA, and he went 15-9. It's pretty damn good.
Good year on a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
A very disappointing team. Weird look for the Giants today. There's going to be some names that you went, oh, hey, I didn't realize he was playing for the Giants now. So kind of a weird lineup, kind of a weird offseason for San Francisco. But yeah, you mentioned that the Yankees don't usually open up against National League teams. This is just the second time ever. Happened during the COVID season, July 23rd, 2020, against the Nationals on the road, rain shortened 4-1 victory. So this will be the first time at home that the Yankees open up against the National League club. So very, very bizarre, but kind of cool in the same breath.
Yeah, I'm actually excited about the new schedule, and that the Yankees are going to see teams that they don't normally see all the time. They're also not going to see the teams that they always see all the time as much, which is good for most of us. It's going to change a lot for all the teams, though, in baseball, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're affected by playing teams that they normally don't play. And when you're playing teams who don't try, like, no offense, but, the Pirates and the Reds and the Rockies and other teams that don't really try to put a really good product on the field, it's going to be interesting to see how win totals change for certain teams this season, including the Yankees.
Going to be a little different. So 1:05 today, first pitch, Eastern time. Of course, at home, it's going to be very cold. So if you're on your way to the ballpark or planning head to the ballpark, bring those October jackets. 40 degrees anticipated in the Bronx today. So it's going to feel a little different. It's going to feel a little different out of the ballpark today.
Yeah, I suggest you get warm drinks when you're there. I suggest you walk around. The new stadium, it's been open for years now. We're into its 14th season, and just walk around as much as you can, because I've gone to plenty of opening days that have been this cold, and you need to do that, because if you sit down for too long, it is really.
Oh, if you're not in a covered spot, that wind in the outfield is going to be rushing at you. So
and in the upper deck too.
Beanies, masks, like everything, like gloves. Make sure you bring gloves. The good socks out to the ball. At least it's a day game.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the weather for the weekend, but I'm sure it's going to be not great the rest of the way if it's 40 degrees.
There's a possibility of rain on Saturday, which is kind of funny because Friday's the built-in off day in case there's rain. And isn't that always how it happens? Where no, it's not going to happen on the off day. It's going to happen on the actual day that they have a game scheduled.
But let's finish up that pitching matchup we mentioned. Gerrit Cole on the mound, of course, as we anticipated, as we always knew, fourth consecutive opening day start for him. Great season last year. 33 regular season starts as one of the top pitchers in baseball for years now. We did a whole episode on Gerrit Cole, which, by the way, is linked in the episode description. We have a full playlist for everything you need to know before opening day. Today's opening day, so you got to hustle to get those in, again with the day game today. 257 Ks last year, led MLB. Great spring training for Gerrit Cole as well. I think he had like 1 or 2 innings that didn't go too great.
Yeah.
Struck out 27 in just shy of 22 innings, 5 starts, ERA south of 3.5. Like Gerrit looked good during spring training, and I would expect nothing less today. I would expect this matchup favors the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good matchup. It should be fun to watch. Logan Webb, he has a really good sinker, which will be interesting to watch the Yankees hitters try to navigate. And he had the second highest ground ball rate in the majors last season. And Gerrit Cole led the majors of the AL in home runs. Can't remember which one it was, but it was a
Was up
lot.
there, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think with today, with the cold weather, the ball probably won't be flying out unless that wind decides to pick up out of nowhere,
Hmm.
which, it's New York. It could. But yeah, I mean, watching for Logan Webb here today, the changeup and the slider will be his secondary options. But of course, that sinker, as you mentioned, is going to be the big one for him today. A lot of ground balls. So Yankees will try and do the opposite of that if they can get the ball up in the air. As of the recording, we don't have the official lineup just yet. We know what it'll likely look like. Some guys we wanted to talk about, and something that we're probably going to keep doing, by the way, moving forward throughout the season, is our new segment called Hot, Cold, and Heating Up. So Stacey, who is hot, who is cold, and who is heating up?
Well, we have to talk about Anthony Volpe. It's going to be his first opening day in the Bronx as a Yankee. He's making his MLB debut this afternoon. That's amazing. And
Right.
he batted 309 in 19 games in the spring. He was 17 for 55 with 10 extra base hits.
Yes, look great. I mean, and we saw him during the exhibition game make that full out diving play up the middle.
Mhm.
And just in case you've been living under a rock or you're a normal human being who doesn't follow every single thing Major League Baseball does, don't forget there are new rules in place here today, which you are going to hear talk to the ends of the earth again, even though you listen to it all spring training.
Yeah.
Remember, I predicted that months ago or a month ago.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the pitch clock is fully in swing. You only get 2 disengagements from the rubber if you're a pitcher, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. What else is going on? Bigger bases, 1 timeout for a batter per at bat. So all those things are in play today. It is full-fledged, ready to go. But Anthony Volpe had a great, shift ban. Anthony
Yes.
Volpe, that's why I brought it up, playing up the middle. But we're anticipating to see Anthony Volpe likely bat 9th, maybe 8th, but probably 9th. By the time you're listening to this, you probably have the official starting lineup. So
Yeah.
there you go.
And also hot, Aaron Judge, which Yankee fans will be happy about. He hit 350 in spring training, only 2 home runs in 16 games, but he was hitting the ball well. I mean, the singles and doubles that he hit were hit really hard. And, it's funny. He started off last year not hitting home runs. He had a pretty long streak of not hitting them and just wouldn't stop after that. So it'll be interesting to see how this season starts for him. His
Yeah,
buddy,
I mean,
Anthony Rizzo.
well, before you get to Rizzo, I
Yeah.
feel like just no one was talking about Judge.
No. Isn't that
No one was
funny?
talking. Yeah, no one even remotely brought up Aaron Judge during spring training because all eyes were on AV.
Yeah. And that's so, I mean, after the season that he had and everything that happened in the offseason,
Mm-hmm.
it was a very odd spring training for the Yankees. Things that we expected them to be dealing with and us talking about, we didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, the injury bug dominated spring. Volpe dominated spring.
Yeah.
Oswald Peraza was barely a footnote at best. You never even heard his name after the first week. And then again, Judge was never really talked about. And I think you were just about to get into who's cold there. Anthony Rizzo wasn't really talked about. He had a pretty poor spring.
Yeah, yeah. Now him and Judge, the one homer he hit, he went back to back with Judge, but he was only 8 for 38, which works out to 211. And yes, it's only spring, but he also started off with his back giving him issues and he sat out a little bit. And, that's something we have to look out for also. This might be a season where you see Anthony Rizzo not playing as much because he needs to rest his back. And so we need to look out for that.
Yeah, and just to get ahead of it, cold weather
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
never helps with anything like that. So
No. So hopefully they have heating pads and all that good stuff for him.
what a segue, though. Heating pads. Who's heating up?
Who is heating up? Josh Donaldson. Now, this is something that Yankee fans would want because No offense, he was abysmal last season offensively. And
Offensively, yeah.
yes, we always make this clear. Offensively, he was abysmal. Defensively, for a 37-year-old who has calf issues all the time, he was amazing in the field. He did really well. And in the spring, he started off slow. He was 4 for his first 26, which works out to a 154 average. And then he was 5 for his last 11, and he had a double and 3 home runs. He hit 4 overall in the spring.
Yeah,
So
2 in 1 game.
yeah. So heating up at the right time, also taking walks too. I noticed that in a couple of the spring training games, which is also good to see because you'd rather see a guy take a bunch of walks than swing at 3 pitches and walk back to the dugout, which seemed to be happening a lot in the playoffs in 2022. So let's hope that Josh Donaldson, he said that he was trying to figure things out, and he's a vet. He won the MVP. He knows how to hit. We know he knows how to hit. And hopefully this will carry over into the regular season. We don't need him to return to MVP numbers. We just need him to be a bit better than he was in 2022.
Yeah, I think what I always come back to, circle back to with players like Josh Donaldson aging, and guys that, your veteran presences, I always circle back to just replacement level. You don't have to be the guy, especially when you look down the road over the course of the season. You don't need Josh Donaldson to bring in 110. Like, that's a ridiculous thing to anticipate.
Right.
And the Yankees and all major league teams and all teams everywhere know what they are anticipating out of their players. That's how they build their rosters.
Yep.
So you anticipate, or you hope you get replacement level, and anything above that is a win. You have the thump in the lineup. I think you anticipate, Anthony Volpe being slightly under replacement level as a rookie, especially in this first month.
Right.
If you get anything more than that, that's a massive win. And I'm not saying that, Anthony Volpe's terrible. He's a great ball player. We all know this. And I know that people were already getting mad at me for being down on Anthony Volpe to start, but I think it's super important to temper expectations to start. Give this kid a month. And I think the Yankees are going to do that. All indications seem like the Yankees are going to give him a legitimate chance to stick in the big leagues and then figure it out thereafter.
Yeah, and I don't think you're saying he's going to be bad. You're just tempering expectations and just saying to people, don't expect him to come out and be 1996 Derek Jeter.
450 and those are unrealistic. If you get that, that is incredible. That's a great thing. Right. And I'm rooting for that. I love this kid. But yeah, I think you throw him down in the 9 spot, throw him in the 8 spot. Maybe he'll lead off a couple of times throughout April. But you're not anticipating him being the guy in the lineup. That's what you have Rizzo for. That's what you have Judge for. Those guys are in the lineup to provide that thump and allow Volpe to get his sea legs.
Right. And the same thing, with just briefly Donaldson. No one was expecting him to hit 30 home runs last year. We just wanted him to be good-ish offensively, and he was not. So that's what we need. We just need replacement level ball from Josh Donaldson this year. That would be a big improvement from 2022. Yeah. The Final Four is set, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Back here on Locked On Yankees, we just wanted to let you know that you can get ready for baseball season with Locked On MLB's ultimate 6-episode season preview. Our local and national experts give in-depth analysis of every team and division in a way only Locked On can provide. Find all 6 episodes on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
So here in the second segment, Stacey, wow, say that 5 times fast. The Franchy Cordero signing. If you're watching on the YouTube side, by the way, you will probably notice me frantically looking at my phone every 5 seconds because, as a heads up, as you record this, the Yankees have still yet to officially give their opening day roster. On our YouTube side, we brought this up. We talked about the Franchy Cordero signing, but in case you're on our audio side, Stacey, why don't you go ahead and remind the folks of what happened on Wednesday morning?
Yeah, so this came across the wire, aka Twitter, at 9:30 on the nose. Jeff Passan tweeting, outfielder Franchy Cordero and the New York Yankees are in agreement on a major league contract. Sources tell ESPN. It's a split deal that will pay $1 million in the big leagues and $180K in the minors. Barring another move, Cordero would be on the Yankees opening day roster.
Interesting move.
Mm-hmm.
We speculated again. If you're hearing this and you already know what happened, then skip 30 seconds. We anticipate this meaning Estevan Florial might not make the roster. We don't know what the official moves are now after this, but it's interesting to me that the Yankees said goodbye to Rafael Ortega, sent Calhoun down, didn't give Hermosillo a chance, and signed Cordero instead, a guy who has legitimate power, but hard to find bat to ball skills, especially in the big leagues. He had a really, really good spring.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting signing. It feels like a bye to Florial, hang on to Hicks, and wait it out till Bader. Like, that's how I've been reading it, especially now that we've had a few hours to kind of think about it.
Right. Yeah, because, we talk about how we anticipate the Yankees possibly making moves, if not now, by the trade deadline. Aaron Hicks is not going to be one of those people. He has too much money left on his contract, and they're kind of like stuck with him at this point.
Unless, it's hard for other teams to want to take that on. They're not going to take that on. Like, I think that is very important to talk about that, especially for Yankee fandom. It's trade IKF, trade Donaldson. You can't just move them because they have to go somewhere.
Right. And these teams have to accept that money because Donaldson is what, 21 million?
That's a lot. That's a lot of an ask for teams to take a gamble on.
Yeah.
When in their minds, and I hate talking money in baseball because they all have it.
Right.
But in their minds, it's a gamble and they could spend that money elsewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
So when we talk about what are potential moves that could come after this, and again, you could know this already. This could have already happened. But Gleyber Torres seems like more the candidate to ship out in this situation since he has more value to other clubs.
Right. Yeah, I'm still I kind of understand the move a little more now. Like you said, we've marinated this on or for a few hours now, but I still was so shocked by it because I wasn't expecting it at all. And we spoke about this in we did a very quick video about this on Wednesday just to get it out there and let everyone know that this move happened. And I just couldn't understand what they were doing. And I was so shocked by the move because it was so unexpected. And, for the people on the audio side, we spoke about how, or I spoke about how this felt like a move that should have been done at the beginning of spring training. And it also feels like they have too many outfielders right now.
Yeah, they do. And it feels like a move is coming. We'll see if that move happens before opening day or is happening as you're listening to this or as you're watching this.
Right.
We had to record at some point and this was the time. It was, 8:00 Eastern, day before opening day. And we wanted to make sure the episode got out for when you're heading to the ballpark.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the move is. We've talked about this a couple of times. We still think we've gone to the consensus that the Yankees need a left-handed reliever while they wait for injuries to subside. But they could swing Gleyber for a lefty reliever, like a bona fide lefty reliever. I think that is a totally legitimate thing to be able to do. Gleyber's on a 1 year, right? They settled and he has that 1 year contract. So it's a pretty easy ask for a club that may need a second baseman or a middle infielder or a utility guy just to fill some holes. That might have, a 1 year lefty that they're like, we're probably not going to contend this year. We might as well swing it and get a better second baseman. So I think that is the most interesting potential move that could happen.
Right.
Back here on Locked On Yankees, our final segment of the day. Get you set up here. One last go around before first pitch, our last off-season segment, which is wild, Stacy. I know I've only been around for a month, but just kind of wanted to take a second to kind of talk about opening day and just what this day is. And I know people, at least for me, whenever opening day comes around, it's just like a nice reset. It's a nice day to kind of, and like I'm always looking for stuff. I'm always looking to listen to things, and I always I turn on the radio and I want to listen to the hour-long special pregame show and like all those types of things I love doing.
Mhm.
It's new for me as a West Coast baseball fan. And I usually watch the first game of the day if I can help it, if I'm not busy. Like the 9 a.m., 10 a.m. game West Coast time. But it is new for me to now be following the Yankees. And now I'm like, oh, well, it's the job to watch the 10 a.m.er. But your thoughts about opening day just as a whole.
I love opening day because hope springs eternal and you think anything is possible for your team. And, as a fan of the Yankees, I've been blessed, and I'm not saying this to be obnoxious, but it's true. Like you think of other fandoms and, yeah, they're excited about opening day, but they know deep down their teams have no chance of doing much of
Yeah.
anything. And at least when you're a Yankee fan, as much as we complain about the team not doing enough to make the team better, there's always a chance they're going to make the playoffs. At least.
At bare minimum.
Right.
I think we kind of wanted to touch a little bit on how we feel about the Yankees as a whole too here before we we get our last thoughts out before the season actually starts. But I still think this team is primed for a good run. I think you need to look past some of the injuries that are there, just for the time being.
Yeah.
And it's a great rotation. It is a very solid outfield. There are good young prospects that are on the horizon, or now we know there.
Right.
You're getting a full season of Cabrera. That's awesome. Volpe starts opening day. The bar is high. The floor is high. Don't look past Oswald Peraza for still making some noise here by May,
Yeah.
I would anticipate. So there are a lot of really good storylines. And I think you've said it a couple of times. I think that middle infield's going to change by the time we get to the All-Star break.
Yeah, and I think there's a potential for this being a special team because of the mix of the younger guys and the veterans on the team. And I'm actually, now that we're here, I am really looking forward to it because I was kind of tempering my expectations heading into spring training and everything. But now that we're here and it's opening day, I'm actually excited about this season.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
And I think you should be. We remember we did that whole episode on Gerrit Cole, and you pretty much, can pinpoint exactly what he's going to give you this year, which is such a luxury that 26 teams don't have. And then you look at what's behind him, and there's some youth in that bullpen. And I still am high on Jimmy Cordero. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I think he's going to emerge this year. And I hope he does. I still think Greg Weissert's going to be able to contribute at the big league level. There's a lot of guys right now that you can rely on, and there's a lot of guys that you're hopeful can spring and jump off and turn a big league career either around or begin one. So I think this is kind of the perfect storm right now. The Yankees are in a good spot, and I think you should be excited not only for this weekend, not only for April, but for 2023.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's going to be fun to see how the team evolves throughout the season and what changes and how many changes are made. And I think we should make a note to check back in, say, just before the All-Star break, just to see how things are going and how the team looks compared to March 30th. Because I think that'd be
pull this
interesting.
Episode back up and reminisce a little bit, like, oh wow, you guys were way off,
Right.
or wow, you hit the nail on the head. Let's hope it's the latter. But I still think they're the favorites to win the East. The Blue Jays, I think, are a great ball club, but I think the rotation still stands stronger in New York over Toronto.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to be really close, and I feel like it's going to be a really Maybe fun season for other people watching from afar to see the two teams battling in the AL East. And for fans of each team, it's going to be very nerve-wracking, but I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a good year. I think it's going to be a good year in New York, and an exciting year. I'm excited to see what Volpe does. I hope those bright lights don't turn him into a deer. But I'm excited for him, and I'm happy for him. Happy for that family, and happy for Yankees fans to get to see him. And again, man, I'm still primed for Oswald Peraza, man. Don't sleep on Oswald. I'm still very excited about him.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out our 2023 season preview YouTube playlist. It'll be linked in the episode description. And thanks for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball with Matt and Dom as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies every day. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.